Hi guys, I'm Nicola McKenzie, founder and insurance specialist at Dunham McCarthy, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about the amount of life insurance cover that you should consider having in place to help to protect your loved ones. So to find out more about how much insurance you might need, then stay tuned. Now guys, before I get into the detail of today's video, remember that this video is only one part of a whole series of videos dedicated to life insurance. So make sure that you check out the rest of the videos in the series to find out all you need to know about life insurance. Now, when you're deciding how much life insurance cover you can have, technically you can have as much or as little as you want. However, something as important as life insurance needs to be thought through, guys, because too much cover, you could be paying over the odds, more than what you need to pay, and too little cover, you could be leaving your family financially in not a very good place if you're no longer around. Now, the amount of cover, guys, that you need is going to depend on a variety of different factors, and it is going to be based on your individual circumstances. But to help you weigh up how much cover might be appropriate, you firstly need to look at why you're taking the cover out in the first place, what's important to you, what are your priorities, what do you want to happen financially in the event of your death. That will help you dictate on what level of cover is going to be most appropriate. But throughout this video, I'm going to highlight some common areas that people might want to consider and assess to help them to assess how much cover might be best. So whilst this video is impossible to give a one-size-fits-all answer, like I say, I hope that it gives you some idea as to the kinds of things that you need to weigh up and a few thinking points to help you to come to a conclusion of how much cover you might need. But ultimately, you also should get advice from a professional to help to make sure that you're making the right decisions. So make sure that you get in touch and we can work with you to look at that. But when you're deciding how much life insurance cover you actually need, you might want to consider the following. What are your financial commitments? What is it that you're looking at covering? So by financial commitments, do you have debts? Do you have an outstanding mortgage? Do you have other debts, unsecured debts? You know, usually if you have a debt, a mortgage most certainly, but potentially other debts as well, usually as a bare minimum, you probably want to look at covering your mortgage balance for the term of your mortgage. That would be a good starting point. Other points that you might want to consider is how much income you earn, and in other words, how much income would you want to replace if you're no longer around to earn that income. Bear in mind that when you die, your income dies with you. So how are your family going to cope without that income when you are gone? Assessing that amount will help you dictate how much cover or how much of your income might need replacing. A good rule of thumb is 5 to 10 times your annual income, but again, that is only a rule of thumb, and that's going to vary depending on how much existing cover you have, and other factors. So a good rule of thumb, but again, there are other things that you'd need to weigh up to make sure that you're selecting the most appropriate amount. Now, another thinking point is how many people are financially dependent on you. So, someone that has 6 financial dependents is likely going to need a lot more cover than somebody that only has 1 financial dependent. So that's another thing that needs considering. Now, household bills, everyone's expenditure and lifestyle is very different, but how much goes out of the household every month? How much do your bills cost? Again, that's probably the minimum amount that your family are going to need in order for them to maintain their lifestyle when you have gone. Another key point to consider is funeral expenses. The type of funeral you want, how much is that likely to cost? Again, everyone's got their own idea on what type of funeral they want. For some people, they might need to arrange transportation to fly to a different country to have their funeral if they have desires to be buried overseas. Or, some people want a much more elaborate funeral compared to others. So again, that's another thinking point to help weigh up how much cover you might need. Here at Dunham McCarthy, we are a team of insurance specialists. Now, we help thousands of our clients to arrange the best life insurance to suit their circumstances. And we don't just deal with life insurance, we also help and give advice on critical illness cover and income protection. Now, we deal with lots of different insurance companies, from high street insurers to specialist insurers, to compare all of the options and find the best cover for you. And we also give you full advice and guidance through the process. And for every client that we arrange an insurance policy for, you also get access to our free will writing service over at mylastwill.co.uk. So head over to our website, dm.mortgage, and book in for a free insurance appointment today. And of course, if you are enjoying today's video, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss a future video upload. Another thinking point is the cost of maintaining, if you have children, your children's education and the desires that you have for their lifetime experiences. So again, every family is different, guys. Every parent has different goals for their children, and therefore the cost of these things is going to vary from person to person. Some parents might want to pay for university fees, some parents might not. Some parents might want to leave enough to give their children a house deposit. Some parents, that may not be the priority. So every parent is going to have different ideas on what their children need for their future. Now, here are a few other points to consider as well, guys. When you're assessing how much cover you need, you do need to look at what existing insurance policies you already have in place, because it may or may not be a good idea to replace existing policies. A new one might better fit your situation, or a top-up might better fit the situation. Again, when we arrange cover and assess our clients' needs, we would always do an analysis of any existing cover to tell you what's best. Now, death in service is also a key point here. Many people that have death in service think that this eliminates the need to have the right level of cover, but you need to understand that death in service has its limitations. Firstly, if you leave that employer, you won't have any life cover. If your health has worsened, or if you're now older, you may not be able to get cover at the time when you leave your employer. Another limitation of death in service benefit is that it only pays you, as the name suggests, whilst you're in service. Now, that can be problematic because let's say that you are diagnosed with a cancer. You might be off work for a year, 2 years, 3 years having treatment, and it may not be until a few years down the line, until the point where you actually pass away. At that point, you technically may not be in service. So the point here is there is no guarantee that a death in service pays out, even if you do die whilst you were with that employer. So it's not a guarantee, and that's why life insurance isn't necessarily a good idea to entirely eliminate, even if you have death in service. So often what people would do is have death in service to run alongside their life insurance. And again, how much death in service you have, yes, that may affect the levels of cover, but it may not eliminate the need for life insurance entirely. Another key point as well, every company's death in service benefit differs in terms of the criteria of when they pay out. Some death in service even goes as far as saying that you have to be at work on the premises in order for the death in service to pay out. So you just have to be very careful when relying on death in service benefits. Now guys, some useful questions that you might want to ask yourself again in helping to weigh up how much cover you need is, how much debt do you want to leave to other people, or do you not want to leave to other people, shall I say? You know, do you want your family to have the mortgage repaid? You know, do you want to provide for your children's education? What kind of standard of living do you want them to be able to maintain? And those questions are going to help you to weigh up how much cover you might need. And as I mentioned earlier on in the video, if you have a mortgage, then as a bare minimum, you probably want to look at protecting the mortgage debt. How much you go beyond that is again going to depend on some of those thinking points that I've already highlighted. Even if you don't have a mortgage, again, then you need to have a think about, from a rental perspective, if you pay rent, then how much rent is going to be needed to still maintain the people that you're leaving behind, their lifestyle. So there are loads of things and questions that you need to ask yourself when looking at how much cover you need. Again, as professionals, as specialists, we would guide you through the relevant questions that are going to help you best assess what's right for you. Now guys, I also appreciate that what comes along with how much cover you need is that you are going to have to pay for the cover. So making sure that the cover is affordable and is within your budget is also probably likely going to be a very important factor for you. So again, this is about weighing up your priorities and using your budget to maximize and get the best out of the cover that's in line with your priorities. And like I said, that's what we as insurance specialists are here to help you to do, because life insurance and critical illness income protection are arguably one of the most important purchases potentially that you will make. You do not want to be in a position where your family are left financially in a much worse off situation should you not be around to provide for them. So therefore it needs to be right. And to help you to assess whether or not the level of cover you're looking at is right, then get in touch and we would be happy to help. So you can head over to our website, which is dm.mortgage, and book in for a free of charge appointment today, because we help lots of our clients to arrange not just life insurance, critical illness and income protection cover, and the service is completely free of charge. For every policy that we arrange, we also provide a free will writing service at mylastwill.co.uk. And make sure that you check out the rest of the videos in this series so that you can find out everything that you need to know about life insurance. Of course, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell if my video today has been useful, and I'll see you in the next one.